All right. So, like you said, my name is Samuel Baugh. I'm the executive director of the South Coast Development Council. What that means basically is we do economic development from Florence down to Brookings. The title of this presentation is Abundance, Masterminds, and a Reef. Oh my. Okay. So let's go ahead and we're going to flip through this. I got the little flipper button.
Okay, good.
Our vision at the South Coast Development Council is to build a thriving and diversified business environment on Oregon's South Coast. Does anybody object to that kind of a vision statement?
No, there's too many people here. Let them all go.
If you object to it, I'm sorry. I'm going to fight against you the entire time. And so you'll be up against me and about a few other people that this is what we're working on. Why? Because we live here. We love it here, and we want to see this place grow and thrive. I'm sorry that, people on the I-5 corridor forget that we're here until it's summertime, they need to go to the beach. But they can have that over there, and we'll stay here where it's nice all the time. So this is a little bit of my background. I actually did the last 12 years, I was doing some workforce development out in Utah. What that involved is I got to sit down one-on-one with people and figure out what their true passion in life was. There were some people that I said, you're going to need some kind of education to be successful in your life. There were some people I said, you don't need any education and you will go crazy if you're stuck in a place that gives you education. Let's see if we can get you a job. Then there was these other people that I never knew quite what to do with. And they had these abstract minds, and they didn't work well in a educational environment. They didn't conform, right? They didn't like to sit at a desk every day and study. And there was these other, and then they didn't work well with other people. They didn't take direction very well, right? And as I got to know them, and one of them is one of my best friends even today, and he was a creator. That's what he did. And that's what I'm hoping most of you guys are you have that creator mindset. You can work with people and you know how to do it, but you prefer to be your own boss. You prefer to open up that creative mind and do things, right? And so this friend of mine, I made a vow. I do have an MBA. I'm one of those that I did well in school, not because I tried, but because I think the teachers just passed me through and said, get rid of him. I don't want to endure him again, so just send him through. But I do have an MBA, and so I was very structured in my thinking, and my friend grabbed a hold of me, and through the course of taking those business classes, I was always told you never go into business with your friends and your relatives, right? And so within the course of about 6 months, I ended up doing both of those things.
Of course.
But as part of the workforce development, I went through this creation process. This friend of mine said, hey, what are you doing? Let's feed that creativity of yours. And I came up with, actually, the organization I was working for came to me and said, this was in 2008, heading into 2009. What happened then? Do you guys remember that?
Crash.
There was a crash, okay?
Subprime.
Not a lot of jobs.
Subprime.
Subprime. There was not a lot of jobs to be had, and they came to me and said, okay, we have people that are losing their jobs. We need to have them get jobs quicker, right? The average length of unemployment at that time was about 12 months. Some it was up to 18 months, depending on what it was you want to do. They said, we need to do something different. Help us. Go. And they said this to a bunch of different people, and they said, go. And I came up with what is now referred to as the Accelerated Job Search Program. I take credit for the large majority of this because the majority of the materials they used, I created. Came off of my computer, and they had me take the model that I used and go to 70 other locations throughout the U.S. and Canada to teach what I was doing. And so I claim credit for it. Other people disagreed and said, no, it's my idea. And I've had that battle with people that want to steal my ideas. Have any of you dealt with anybody like that? Okay. And that's all the more I'm going to say about that, because I did have to sign a waiver, a non-compete, or some other stuff. So I'm not going to talk about that one too much. But in the course of this, I created another company called 10x2 Hired, and this was a great opportunity to take all of the things that I had created in that accelerated job search and give it to the mass public, right? And it was going to be fantastic. And my buddy and I started this, and we roped in 2 other people, and it crashed. That was a big learning experience for me, right? How many of you had learning experiences? I don't have very many failures. I have a lot of learning experiences.
There you go. I like that.
All right. Powerful Results Publication. We took the 10x2 Hired, and we revamped it and said, these are not things these are things that we don't do well. And we tried to revamp it, and we went with Powerful Results Publications to help another buddy of mine to publish a book. And from that, he's an author. He's now speaking, and we created as a DBA under Powerful Results Publications. We had Powerful Results Events, and we put on a bunch of events. We had, the Governor's Office of Economic Development came and spoke to us. We had multiple people. We put together seminars, and it was pretty good. And then it wasn't fun anymore, right? And so we stopped doing that one. And then during this whole time, during this 2 times, when I started 10x2 Hired, my brother came to me. And my brother, he is a emergency room doctor by trade, and he worked his way through medical school doing tissue harvesting from people that have been deceased, and so they pass away, and then these vampires, ghouls, whatever it is, they call themselves, they go in and take all the organs and give them to people that can use them, right? And that's the way he worked his way through medical school. And he came to me and said, Sam, I want to start a business. There has to be a better way to do things. Let's work on this. And so through what we worked on, we came up with Baugh Medical Organization. And what it does is it does post-mortem prosthetics. And most people are like, post-mortem? Doesn't that mean they're dead? Right? Post meaning after, mortem meaning death. And you're absolutely right. So why does somebody need a prosthetic if they're dead? Well, this is the thing. A lot of people, when they pass away, their bodies are usually in really good shape. And they can take those organs and then give them to somebody, either for science or, if somebody needs a heart, they can give them the heart or tissue. But in the process of that, they take all the large bones of the body for the bone marrow. The bone marrow cures a lot of cancers, by the way. And it has all kinds of T cells and all kinds of those things. And what they were doing up until this point was they were putting in PVC pipe. Now, I want you to look at a bone, look through my arm and see my bone. It doesn't really look like a PVC pipe, right? And there was a lawsuit in Las Vegas against a company, and I won't mention the name of that company, but there was a lawsuit against this company, and it went something like this. Grandma died of a heart attack. Why does she look like she got hit by a bus? Because, they just looked horrible after they came back out of these donation centers. And so my brother said, there has to be something different. And so him, my dad, and myself, we sat down and we said, what can we make that makes this better? And we came up with, I'm going to switch views real quick. I'm going to escape out of here and I'm going to flip over to, that's not where I want to flip to. that one. We actually came up with these anatomically, I know this doesn't look like a bone, but after you put that in under skin, it actually does. And these are anatomically correct, and you can adjust these so that they will fit anybody from 4'8" to about 7 feet tall. Okay? And they all have these, we call it the central pin technology, or central dowel technology single pin retention system. And it is all biodegradable. If you may not know this, but when you are cremated, they have, after the funeral, right? And you go back in for the cremation, they have to go back in and take out all the metal and plastic and all these other things. So it's anything that is not considered biodegradable, they have to go and take out, whether you're buried or cremated, either way. Okay? And so with these, they didn't have any other steps afterward. And it took a long time, but this is up and running, and this is working well. Mm-hmm. I don't work well with my family. I'll just put that out there. It was not it was an okay job for me. It didn't pay well, and I had other things to do, so I came out here and started working with South Coast Development Council. But so this, I tell you all of this just to show that I know what it means to be a creator. I love creating. I like doing new things. But I will tell you, I'm not a great, amazing, all-around guy. I lack follow-through. I can create all day long and have ideas and do lots of things. And as soon as I get them spinning, something shiny. Hey, look at that, there's a car over there. You know, something, whatever it is, okay? And I'm assuming many of you are that way. Okay? And so what we have done is we're trying to get a lot of the like-minded individuals in this area together. Now, this is the reality of the area we live in, right? The crabs in a bucket. Who here is familiar with the crab in a bucket mentality? Come on, we live on the coast. I knew this and I lived in Utah.
Usually we eat them.
Yeah, we eat them.
We eat them. Okay, so when you put a crab in a bucket, if it's just one and it's a small bucket, they will get out. What happens when you put two in there? They fight. And when one gets a leg up and starts getting out of that bucket, the other one will pull him down, okay? And so, crabs in a bucket, an animal so stupid and selfish that when piled in a bucket, they will tear each other down to get an inch closer and could easily succeed if they work together. We are so much better than that.
Is that the U.S. Senate?
I say this last phrase tongue-in-cheek. Aren't we so much better than them? Yes. Unfortunately, we live in a society that when somebody starts getting better, a lot of us are like, hey, don't do that without me. Back down here. Right? So how do we overcome that mentality? We have a lot of people that do this. You guys familiar with this analogy, the long spoon? You have that pot of soup, really hot soup in the middle of the table, and you're trying to eat it with that super long spoon, and you spill it all over the place. You're hitting the wall. You're spilling it on yourself. You're burning, whatever it is. That if all you tried to do was help everybody would be happy, right?
I just moved the pot closer to me.
I know. I know, Eric. I'm watching you. Okay, but this is what we should be doing. This is the idea of an abundance mentality. What is an abundance mentality? Does anybody know? What's the opposite of abundance mentality? Let me start with that.
Scarcity.
Scarcity. Thank you, Jay. I was afraid I was going to have to lead out with all these answers. Okay, so scarcity. A lot of people think there is only one pie. And if I give you a piece of pie, I'm not going to get a piece, right? When the reality is, the pie is, we have an infinite sized pie. The more we give, the more we get back. So instead of looking at things as you're my competition and you're my competition, think of it as, what can I learn? What are you doing right that I can learn from that? What are you doing right that I can learn from that? Oh, by the way, this is something I've learned. Would you like to share? Okay? So through the course of, I think I'm cruising through this way too fast. How much time did I?
You just keep going.
All right, I'm going to just keep going. I will, when I stop talking, you guys can.
You know you've gone too long when everyone's left.
when they stand up. All right. So through the idea of creating an abundance mentality of there's enough for everybody, let's share, and we can all build that synergistic relationship, and we're all going to get better. We came up with this thing called a mastermind group. And I came out here. I've been involved with mastermind groups for about 10 years. And I came out here and I started asking about it, and everybody said, "What's a mastermind group?" Does anybody know what a mastermind group is? Jay? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like networking?
Kind of.
basically?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of. That's one aspect to it. A mastermind group is the concept was created by a guy by the name of Napoleon Hill. He wrote this book called Think and Grow Rich. Have you guys heard of that one?
Yes.
No?
It's a very standard book. It was written in the 1930s. So if you haven't heard of it, you can Google it now. It's on the internet.
Yeah, he had a good solution. Make that book and sell a lot, or audio
Right.
tapes.
Right. But he said, let's put together a mastermind group. And really what it is a brain trust. A group of people that you can wrap and take your problems to, business problems. I'm not qualified to help you with mental problems, okay? I'm just putting that out there. So you take your business questions to. And as a group, you try to solve that problem. So what that does is it takes a solopreneur, a one-person organization, and it gives you a board of directors. And it gives you a marketing staff. And it gives you an accounting staff. And it gives you a sales staff. That you can pass these ideas around and they come up with ideas. And they can say, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Okay? So it helps us navigate through business challenges using the collective intelligence and really building up that brain trust. Now, you have to trust the people that are in your group. If you're in a group that I run, you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. Otherwise, the trust isn't there. Okay? We believe in confidentiality and being able to help everybody grow. And by the way, I won't invite one of your direct competitors in, but we are able to share, and everybody works through these things. It's in a controlled environment. We don't let people in unless we tell the group they're coming in and we have them sign a non-disclosure. But it creates that feeling of you are not alone. How many have been sitting there doing something and thought, I am so alone. Nobody in the world understands what I'm going through. How many of you have never had that feeling? How many of you are not going to raise your hand no matter what I say? Okay. But it creates that idea of I'm not alone. Somebody is here to help me. It increases collaboration. It does cross-promotion. And helps us learn new skills and big picture thinking. And I'm going to give some examples of these. Collaboration. I worked with one of the mastermind groups I was working with. There was a gentleman. He owned 3 bookstores, and one was in Houston, one was in Virginia, and one was in Utah. Okay, so he had 3 bookstores. And he couldn't quite figure out how to make all of them work independently and make money. He was between the 3 stores, he was barely making a living, right? He had some staff that he wasn't quite sure was totally honest with him, some different things. And then through the course of this mastermind group and talking through things, we threw out some ideas, and he started implementing these changes. Now, some of the changes were shut down this store, okay, and go online. And he went from about 750,000 between the three stores to grossing over $1.5 million in 1 year, because he closed down one store and took the merchandise from that one store and started selling it online.
I'm curious, which store did he shut down?
I believe it was the one in Houston.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
it's been a couple years, so I could be wrong, but I think it was the one in Houston. And so he then shut down one of his other stores. I think it was the one in Virginia, and his sales increased again. Well, his gross profit margin did, because he's not paying overhead. He wasn't paying employees, and he had full control over everything that was happening. Okay, so that was a collaboration effort that came out of that. Cross promotion. Oh my goodness. Okay. We have, and I have been given permission to talk about this. We have a gentleman that is in one of the mastermind groups right now, that he is working, he picks up dog poop for a living, okay? And this actually came in as an idea. He came in, he said, hey guys, I have an idea. I've seen posts on Facebook of people that want somebody to come and pick up dog poop out of their yard. Do you think that's a viable business option? And so we all wrapped our minds around it and talked about it. And he said, yeah, I think I'm going to give this a go. And I talked to him one more month, and then he disappeared. He fell off my radar for like 2 months. And I had no idea what happened to him. And then he popped back in, and he said, I've been so busy that I haven't had time to come in. And what he did is he did a cross promotion with a landscaper. Because the landscape people won't go in and mow a yard if there's big dog bombs there, right? And so he cross-promoted with this landscaper, that the landscaper would then say to the homeowner, hey, you know what, I can't clean up after your dog, but here's somebody that will, and he will come in the day before I come in, and he will clean up after your dog. Okay? Boom! I don't think he's going to make $1 million this year, but at least he's doing okay. Right? And of course, he learned some new skills, right? Sorry, I gotta grab a drink here. I'm gonna die here. And then, of course, thinking, a lot of us that are creators, we put our head down and we focus on the thing that we want to succeed, right? We're focused. And sometimes we need the rest of that group to take a step back and say, hey, you're so focused on this, you're missing these opportunities. They help us see that 30,000 foot, that bigger
Tunnel
picture.
vision.
What's that?
Tunnel vision.
Oh my goodness, tunnel vision is so much. I mean, you're but if we have that brain trust, somebody that can look at that from a bigger picture, we're going to be so much better off. So this is how the group works. They meet monthly, right? Once a month. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
You guys do have a meeting like that?
I never
once
heard
a
of
month,
anything
right?
like that, yeah.
Once a month. I find a group of 8 to 10 individuals. 8 is a good for a good synergy. Less than that, you can cohese fairly well. But at 8, there seems to be this tipping point, okay? And it builds this energy. But if you get more than 10, you start losing steam. So I tell everybody you want it between 8 and 10 individuals. Because everybody gets a chance to share, right? And if we go for 2 hours, at 8 people at 2 hours, each person gets 15 minutes. And they can use that 15 minutes however they want to. If you want to talk about politics for 15 minutes, great. At least you get it off your chest, right? Oh my goodness, did you hear what the governor just did? Oh my goodness, I can't believe that. Oh my goodness, the mayor just, if that's what you want to do, great. Now, how most people use this is they'll spend 5 minutes describing their problem, their issue, what they want to solve. and maybe some steps they've taken, and then they spend the 10 minutes getting ideas back. The rest of the group gives them the feedback. Now, I have been in groups where that idea is so intriguing that other members of that group say, I'm going to donate my time because I want to see this succeed. I want to see this happen. This is a great idea. Let's work on this. Okay? And so you can share time if you want to. Not everybody does because everybody's working on something. We help other people with their concerns, and then we repeat. And everybody gets an opportunity. That way it's not just take, because then instead of being the center of the group now, you're on somebody else's orbital status. You're on the outside. You're part of their brain trust now. So you feed off of each other. And then, of course, the important part is this report and accountability. Next month when you come back in, I'm going to say, how did you do on this? Did you accomplish what you set out to last month? Now, what happens if they didn't? I don't really care. I'm sorry, I don't. I want to see them succeed, but I'm not going to do the work for them. And so if they don't do it, I'll say, great. What is it that you want to work on this month? Well, I want some more information on these ideas and steps so I can actually do that. Okay, well, we'll focus on that. You guys ever heard of Hickam El Garouche? Those that have seen this presentation before, you may have heard of him. And I'm surprised, because we live in a city, in an area that is really focused on running, right? Mm-hmm. We have one of the most famous runners on the planet lived.
Steve Prefontaine.
Steve Prefontaine, okay? But, so this guy, his name is Hickam El Garouche.
He's right there, you just passed.
Oh, I just passed it. There we go. And I'm going to put this up. And I'm going to give you a little bit of background of Hickam El Garouche. Okay. He is a Moroccan runner, and currently still holds the record for the fastest mile ever run. Okay.
What is it, do you remember?
It's
not beyond 3 minutes.
Well, this is the current record that before his race. This is the current record. It's 3:44. Okay. And what you're going to, I'm going to play this video for you, and I'm going to stop it at a couple points as we go along. Okay, because there's a few points that I really want to hit. Okay, can you just hit start real quick? Just hit the space bar. Oh, I can't hear that. Can we somehow put some sound in there?
Yeah, I can. Oh, that's about as high as you get.
That's about as high as it's going to get.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to narrate this for you. Okay. So I've watched this probably 100 times, and it still amazes me. All of the business things that I can learn from watching a race, a 1 mile race. Okay. So at the beginning, you hear the announcer say, "Welcome to this race. We have a world record attempt that will be going on today, and there has been fronted $50,000 to anybody that can beat this world record." Okay? So they're motivated. Whoever wins is going to win $50,000, right? And so they take off. They're at 9.6 seconds. They haven't gone too far. All right, so they talk about some guys that got jostled. This guy right here that you saw coming up on this, his name's Hickam El Garouche. This guy right here in the blue, okay? And so right here, you're going to hear him talk about these 4 people that are breaking away from the pack. 2 pace setters. And they're going along. Now this guy in front right here, he is the current 800 meter at this time, he was the current 800 meter world record holder. He knows how fast to run 800 meters, right? And so what is his job? Does anybody know what his job is? He's a pace setter. What is a pace setter's job?
Set the pace.
Set the pace. And he is setting an 800 meter pace for the first half of a 1 mile of a 1 mile run. Okay? And so what pace are they setting? Are they running at? 800 meter pace. Is that hard if you're used to running a mile? Yeah, it's not. Okay. I used to run cross country. I know I don't look like it, but I used to run cross country. So, and I would run a mile pace different than I would run a 3 mile pace. Okay. So they said, we're going to do this. He's the Olympic champion, 800 meters. Okay. And he's there at 400. That's 1 lap around, 440 meters. They're on world record pace. It's very important that they do not slow down. Okay? I know you guys can't hear this. I'm just narrating for you. And so as they come around, you can see all of a sudden, as they come around, right about, it's the other side of this. I know, this is the boring part. And you can see how far this group has gained. These are, by the way, the rest of these guys, they're world record athletes. They're not slow by any chance, by any means, right? And all of a sudden you see this guy peel off. This guy right here, he was the leader, right? And he peels off. Why? What?
800 meters.
800 meters. He's done. His job is done. Okay, he's finished. If you're an 800 meter runner, you don't do well running more than 800 meters, especially at that pace, right? And so he pulls off. You hear him talk about them pulling off, and there's still this guy in front of him, right? He happens to be the 1600 meter, 1200 meter record holder. And they're talking about this. This is where a lot of people let down, is that third lap, that third really crucial lap. People are running along, and so he's now saying, okay, now that we've done that 800 meters, I want you to keep that same pace for the 1200 meters. And kind of, okay. All right, so this actually, I know you can't hear it. This is the very first time they've actually identified this guy. And if you listen to them, they're almost surprised that he is in the running. Well, where did this guy come from? I mean, they know who he is. He's a competitor. He's he's Olympics runner. But they're like, why is he there? Okay, and so it's the very first time they've actually even talked about that third guy. He has the 3 fastest 1500 meter times, and he's just hanging out with the rest of these guys. And they come around, they're going to the bell. The bell means final lap, okay? And you see this other guy peel off. Why? His job is done, okay? He did his job. And so here goes Hicham El Guerrouj. He's running along, and I bet you, and I'm going to show it to you. There is, he doesn't even know he's there. I'm willing to bet he doesn't know he's there, because right about here you see Hicham El Guerrouj. He's starting to slow down just a little bit. He's getting tired. He's running a fast 1 mile, and all of a sudden, this guy comes up to his side, and you can see him. He took that little look back. Did you guys see it? There was a little look back, and he said, "Oh no, I gotta go." And he takes off. Okay. If that other guy hadn't been there, what would have happened?
Time would have been less.
He would have missed that world record. Now, this world record that had stood for more than a decade, and still stands today, by the way, was broke not once, but twice in a single race. Why?
I have a technical question.
Yes.
If it were a straight line race, do you think there'd be a difference? As
I
opposed
don't
to
know.
going-
I really don't know. Maybe they get faster as they go around in circles. I don't know. Maybe their one leg is shorter than the other, so it's okay to go. I don't know, but
It's easier to judge it this way.
Oh, yeah.
it is easier to judge it this way. So they not only beat, but they shattered the old world record. I realize it's only almost 2 seconds. It's 344.7 down to 343.12. But for a record that had stood so long and said nobody is ever going to beat this, this is so fast, it was broke twice in one race.
That's what they said about Bannister.
Yeah.
First
Okay.
one to break it.
So, how important is competition for you? It's really important.
It's a motivator.
It's a motivator. It helps you understand there's somebody else playing this game. I better do what I'm doing, only better, right? And so people are like, oh my goodness. I don't want competitors. I don't want people knowing what I'm doing. Guess what? People already know what you're doing.
Already know.
Okay? If your key to success, your yeah, we don't want to. Don't click on that. I'll just.
No, I
Okay. It's a hyperlink that goes back to that. What was I saying? I was saying something important.
Key to success.
The key. If your key to success is your great customer service, it's not a great key to success. If your key to success is low cost, it's not a great key to success. If your best thing that you do is anything that anybody else can compete on, it's not great. I'm sorry. Do what you do and do it very well. Don't try to play people at their other game, right? Their own game. And so that's what I learned from Hickam El Garouche. I hope you guys take that back and can watch that at some point and listen to the commenters, because they actually have some great insight that I've carried over to the business world. So this is what my mastermind group members are saying. We have built connections and network with our fellow business owners. It's an opportunity to network, right? You network with people you know, love, and trust, because there are some great friendships that jump out of these. It's like having your own board of directors, okay? Everyone has a chance to share and be heard. How many times have you sat in one of those networking meetings that you don't really get to talk to anybody, you don't get to know anybody, and it's just all around not fun anymore, right?
That's why we come here.
That's why you come here. So I can talk to you and
Well, I mean, we do this every
No, we
month.
do this
Right.
every month,
yeah. And it helps you find potential customers. Continue what other people are saying. They found information and resources that can help. Okay. And they enjoy confidentiality within the group. It's a feel-good, safe environment for discussing ideas and issues, and it's a great sounding board where you can feel at home. I hope all of you have an opportunity to know what feeling at home is like, and that you know what a sounding board is like and how important that is in your life. Yeah.
I've got one more. Being part of a group, you have to organize your ideas to express it to the group.
Yes.
And so many business owners I've mentored can't do that
Oh my goodness.
until they step into a group. It's huge.
It is huge. I mean, they start with this wonderful thing I created and this wonderful whatever it is, and they can't express what it is
Right.
that anybody else knows. I bet I created the best widget in the world. Good for you. What does it do? Well, it does technical bumbo jumbo that I can't even pronounce. Well, let's put it into a phrase that people will understand, because nobody is going to buy a product that they don't understand. Okay? It's a small group environment. The organization avoids conflicts with competitors. That's why I said I don't let directing competitors into groups. It helps me make changes. Okay? The more we know, the more we help each other, and it creates a more dynamic business culture. That's what we're trying to build here. As part of the Reef Project, right? We're trying to create that dynamic business culture where people will grow. Because, are any of you familiar with The Tipping Point? It's a book called The Tipping Point.
Was that about the Titanic?
No.
Well, it's climate change.
Oh, okay.
That was
Giving
fine.
them like a critical mass.
Like we're building a critical mass. It basically says every organization or society will get to a point that it either fails or it takes off and it succeeds. And at that point is the tipping point. What is it that pushes you over that edge and makes you accelerate? What is it that pushes you over that edge and makes you become a better organization, a better person, a better culture, okay? And that's what the tipping point says. And I really think here in Coos Bay, North Bend, we are at a tipping point. We're waiting for that explosion, that catalyst, to send us all going every direction and be successful. How long have we been in this recession?
Here in this area?
In this area.
Since 1982?
Yeah. 30 some odd years, right?
Since I've been alive.
Okay? Yeah, exactly. And you get almost to that point and then things back off. And you almost get to that point and things back off. We're here to take it to that point and go over the edge. And we're going to take off like a freight train without brakes, guys. Heading downhill. All right? So the Reef Project, this is a project that we are working on. We, meaning we have the South Coast Development Council. South Coast Development Council has been working on this for about 3 years. We are partnered with the Small Business Development Center. We are partnered with the OSU Extension, Oregon State University Extension Program. We have the Government Contracting Assistance Program. We have the Confederated Tribes.
Kokio?
It's the Coos, Lower Umpqua, and Siuslaw Indians. Confederate Tribes. They have an incubator, and they have a family services program. And we're all locating in this building so that we can do this no wrong door mentality. So if you come and knock on my door and say, I need help writing a business plan, I'm not going to say, I don't do that. I will take you by the hand and walk you down to the people that do. If you come and knock on my door and say, Sam, I really need help getting a contract with the government, I'm not going to say, I don't really do that. I'll say, let me go introduce you to Rick. He does that. And I find, this is what I found, that when we were in separate locations, that if somebody came into my office and said, I really need help with a class that teaches me how to do small business management. And I said, I don't do that, but if you go over to the Small Business Development Center, they do teach that class. Somehow that road doesn't ever connect from where my office was to where they were. And I found that if we're all in one location, it's easy to walk them down the hall and get them the support they need. Okay? And so that's what no wrong door mentality means. I can do this, and I can get to where I need to go. Yeah?
It's creating a mall effect. That's why malls were created
Yeah.
back in the 30s, 40s.
Yeah.
I thought that was because of a tax dodge.
That's some of that too. But, but yeah, creates
Small
that.
business, if you have to go to one location, you may back out and decide to do it tomorrow because
Yeah.
you can. Whereas if there's multiple businesses you need to go see, all under one roof, it makes it convenient for the customer.
It's the strip mall mentality. Yeah.
What's Reef's acronym?
The REEF stands for the Rural Entrepreneur Ecosystem Framework. We also happen to live on the coast, and so we like a coastal theme, so we call it the REEF, right? But yes, the rural, because face it, we're rural. I know if you live in Powers, Who was here who lives in Powers? Somebody I was talking to.
I know our presenter was from Powers, actually. He was a web developer, but.
Anyway, if you live in Powers, I know this seems like the big city. It's not, I'm sorry. But we are rural, and we're helping that entrepreneur, okay? Each one of you are entrepreneurs. If you think you are or not, you are. If you're sitting here today, you fit that category. An ecosystem, that means we're all evolving together. We're trying to grow. And then, of course, a framework is what we build it in. Okay, so that's what the REEF stands for. What we're going to have is we're going to have an incubator and a co-working space. That's going to be downstairs. The incubator, what's the purpose of an incubator? Does anybody know?
Keep chickens warm?
It keeps chickens warm. It keeps that unhatched thing warm and continue to grow until it's ready to go out on its own, right? And that's what we're doing. We're doing that for, instead of chickens, unless your business is a chicken, we're doing that for businesses. We give you a safe place. Because if somebody wants to open a business right now, and it's not something they can really do from home, for whatever reason, where do they go?
Public library.
Go to the public library, you go down to Starbucks, buy you a cup of coffee, and
Come to the.
There's a Starbucks here now?
Meetings here.
you come to the once a month meeting here. Whatever it is, you don't really have anywhere to go. Well, guess what? We're creating that space. Okay? A co-working space, have any of you dealt with a co-working space? These are amazing places. These are places where you can go in and you can rent a desk or a chair or a table by either the day, the hour, the week, the month. Whatever it is, you go in and you say, I just need somewhere to work. Well, guess what? You can now go plug your headphones in and you're working on your business. And that's all you do without any other distractions. Well, you have other people that are also working on their business, and then you can go over and say, hey, what are you working on? Hey, I think we can do a cross-promotional activity, something like that, okay? One of the things we're looking at is doing a kitchen incubator. We have this great organization over here called OCCI, Oregon Coast Culinary Institute, right? And they are turning out a lot of great chefs, and these chefs come out of there and they do what?
They leave,
They leave. Why do they leave?
because there's a few jobs.
Oh my goodness, there are not a whole lot of restaurants
Yeah.
here,
Yeah.
and a restaurant can only have one head chef. Well, a lot of these people they got into the culinary because they want to cook, they want to be a chef, they want to do, and most of them really want to run their own business. They want to run their own kitchen. Well, guess what? If we put in a kitchen incubator downstairs and we have, 4 or 5 kitchen incubators, people can then come and build their own restaurant. Or they can do a food truck. Or they can do catering out of these little incubators. And they don't have to spend, it's about $100,000 to put in a kitchen of their own. They don't have to spend all that. They can just come in and say, I want to rent this for X amount of time, okay? We're also looking at a kitchen incubator, a child care incubator. When we first started looking at some of the problems in our area, there are 3 things that always rise to the top on why we can't get good people here. Number 1, housing. Housing is really tough right now, right? We're less than 1% vacancy rate, and even if you can afford to buy a house, there are no houses available to buy. We have people that come in here that are hired by the hospital, professional individuals, that they can't find a house. I personally know a couple of nurses that are couch surfing because they can't even rent a place right now, okay? And so housing is one of our issues. To go along with that, it's our workforce. We don't have a talented workforce, which is another project we're working on, but we don't have skilled trade people. We're running short on plumbers, by the way. We're running short on construction workers. We're running short on welders. We're running short on electricians.
Scott knows something about that,
We're-
right, Scott?
We're running short on a lot of those things, right? And so it's not I would love to educate people on how to do those, but I don't know how to weld. Well, I used to weld like 25 years ago. That was a long time ago. I was back in high school.
A lot has changed.
A lot has changed. I grew up on a farm and I could do a straight line with my stick welder, and that was about it. You know, I could.
They have a welding course at the local junior college.
Yeah, they do, and we're starting to partner with
At
them, right?
Marshfield High School, you have a great, industrial arts class, and one of our board members, Glenn Crook, is the director of that program. So we have a good time.
And North Bend High School is putting in,
Right.
I mean, I think they just broke ground on the trade center, right?
Great.
And so that part's kind of taking care of itself, and there's some other things that we're working on. But the other thing that kept popping up was childcare. We want young professionals to move here, but if they have kids, what are they going to do with them? Right now, there is about a 2-year waiting list on most childcare places. So what that means is if you plan on going to work before your child is 2, you have to enroll them and put them on the waiting list before they're even born. How does that make sense? And so what we're going to do, and part of the issue with the child care is there's so many state regulations, federal regulations on how a center has to be set up, that most people run out of money setting it up before they can even start their business. And so if we can set up an incubator and we can get people going and bringing in their kids, and we can teach the people how to do that, we let them be there for 2 years, training them, building their clientele, and then we kick them out on their own. After they're making a profit, then they can afford to build their center, and they know what the standards are. And as soon as they're off on their own, we put somebody else in that space, and we're going to run it.
So how you gonna, let me throw this out, how would you segue something like that with pediatric nurses who are being trained at the college? Could they assist in the child care programs?
Yes.
Because that could identify some of the training right
Yes,
there.
we're already talking with some of the.
And in the real world, especially in Southern California, like 90% of the people that do childcare don't speak English, and they charge affordable rates. While you take a certain amount of gamble, yes, but then people only have so much spare change for a service. And unfortunately, the regulations make it impossible for anyone to pay for a facility, buy the insurances and everything else, and at the end, make some sort of profit for themselves.
The last number I actually saw, and if both parents are working, or if you're a single parent and you're working, in order to pay for child care for one child for 12 months, you have to have a salary of at least $27,000 to $30,000 a year. $27,000 to $30,000, yeah. It has to be your take home, even to be able to afford it, to even break even.
Right, yeah.
Okay?
That's a way on the low side.
And so my wife, bless her heart, stayed home with our kids until they were all into school.
Right.
Because it was not cost effective for us for her to work. Okay? Because I love her so much. She is amazing. But her career goal was to be a paraeducator in a special ed classroom. And she's the most tender-hearted person in the world. And she's amazing. But it doesn't pay that much, right? It doesn't pay well. It doesn't pay well enough for her to put the kids into daycare while she goes to school, or while she goes to work, okay? And so this is what the child care incubators is to do. Now, I've already shared a couple of the success stories before. Basically, it helps us build clientele, helps us do ideas and implement and build a momentum. If you want to start the discussion, we have the Reef Project Coffee. We all go out and we get coffee Tuesday mornings at 9 o'clock. And we're at So It Goes Coffee House. If you want, sometimes it changes. I think next week we're actually down at Front Street Provisioners on Tuesday morning. They provide coffee. come and join the conversation.
Do you know Rick Steelwagon?
I do know Rick.
Is he part of that? Because I heard
He
him talk
does.
about the coffee, yeah.
Yep, he comes most mornings. Rick is also part of my one of my mastermind groups. Yeah.
Has anyone ever thought or talked about a website where all the businesses in this area as one unit can advertise? So whether it's a small business, a large business, so everyone says, hey, you know, we need this service, we're gonna look at things. And a lot of people, you know, have their little businesses and they're scared to what goes into it. Well, so there's one organization, you know, maybe you charge them a most nominal fee so they can get in there, display their goods, and, you know, that helps the whole bonfire, shall we say, take off.
Yes, that has been discussed. I think we're still trying to figure out how we're gonna operate that. 'Cause there are some things that need to be worked out, yeah.
A lot of regional areas have directories published by agencies, like you have a manufacturing directory, you've got retail directory. So if you're looking for a specific service, you can go to the county and get that directory. I wanna know who all the manufacturers are because those are gonna be my accounts.
Right.
I can go get that directory because the county knows who's doing business
So
here.
let me, they absolutely do, okay? If you get the commercial list, it's gonna cost me about $178 a book, okay? I say that because I used to order. Now, there's this funny little thing called Google. If I get on and I say, I want manufacturers in this area, boom, it's all right there.
Some people, some of them don't list, you know, for various reasons.
That's true. Not everybody's on there, but I think that'll still hit the large majority of what you want, and it's there when I'm thinking about it. So, the books have their benefits, but technology is outweighing what the benefits are for some of those books. Okay. This is my contact information. If you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of me. I won't answer the phone, but Kath here, raise your hand, Kath. She will answer the phone for me and filter you to wherever I'm at, or send me an email. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. Do you have any questions?
You wanna put that back up again?
Yeah, just leave that up, and yeah.
Yeah, as part of your organization, are you looking for sources of donation, angel investors, that sort of thing?
I will never turn down anybody that wants to donate to me.
Exactly.
I am a nonprofit, but I think what you're asking is, do I have somebody that will come in and specifically give presentations on how to get money for your business?
Anyone, yeah.
Or people that you know who would be invested in some venture capital.
Or even, you know, someone may have a few dollars left and they have a passion about, let's say, steam engines. And you say, oh yeah, I build a little steam engine. Well, you know, there may be a source of money here for a specific item like that.
I know where to track down a lot of money in different locations, depending on what kind of business it is. I don't have any venture capitalists in my direct sphere of influence, but I know where to reach to find them if I think somebody needs a venture capitalist. Yeah.
Is there much of it in this area, or does one have to go like San Francisco? Or Southern California, or wherever?
So there is quite a bit of wealth in this area, and if you're friends with the right people, they might do it for you. They might lend it for you at different rates. There is no organization necessarily set up to do that. The closest one I know of is in Eugene. It's Eugene Rain. It stands for something. Oregon Rain. Anyway, but they have an investor network. Yeah.
There's the guy that's on.
There's a Roseburg version of that.
Yeah, Roseburg has their Rain. Eugene has a Rain, and there's another one. But yeah, there's a lot of investor networks on the I-5 corridor.
So running down a hypothetical at this point, I've been here for 12 years, and basically is that coming from the San Francisco Bay Area, and seeing how this area is still, to be honest, at times is stuck in the 1950s. And no matter how hard some of us have tried to kind of pull it over, you know, because some of us have come out of, not this area, but have come up from San Francisco area or other areas around the area. So we're used to that, but trying to get that pivot, I mean, you keep talking about that point, but I mean, I see the smile on your face and it's going like, I almost hope that there's, to be honest with you, there's a generation that will just leave there. So it's already, because like I said, the three brick walls I run into is Jordan Cove, is the lumber, you know, the mills coming back, okay, and I guess some, whatever, the shipping and something else. But anyway, it just seems like those three words, whereas I think of a company, let's say, you know, bless his heart, Hardman Optical, who started a company down in Bandon with manufacturing and like that, and thought that was going to generate a lot of things, and it did, but then there were other issues that I ran into. But I mean, it was trying to get those things into this area. That was very, very difficult to do, because if it isn't lumber, if it isn't this, if it isn't that, you know, and I just, you know, it's just, you know, I know it's there, and to be honest, what's kind of sad was my wife and I went up to Florence on Saturday, and I'm looking at thousands of people walking around Florence in that small little town area, downtown area. And it was just busy, dynamic, and everything like that. And I come back here, and even though Lady Washington is here, I mean, literally, I could fire a cannon down, you know, down the street and not hit anybody.
Right.
You know, and so I'm looking, you know, so it's that segue difference. Now, granted, it's closer to Eugene by another hour, and that's what some of the folks I told. But at the same time, we still have that opportunity here, because we do have an airport here, regardless of whether we have the golfers come in or not. And having talked to some of those golfers, I fly all over the U.S. lecturing on the U.S. And it's amazing how they would ask the question, what's the business climate like here? Okay, because when I fly over and they say, oh, they see that big ship out there with these logs going onto the ships. And I say, guess what? That's going to be shipped to China. And they're all like, wow, really? You know, they're just, you know, and I'll be closing my golf here if I can set up a company. I love being here. I said, but, you know, who do I send, you know, and so who do I send them to? And then I explain everything like that. And I almost seen, one of the things that I almost wish would happen is that somebody would sit at the stupid airport and just do a survey of what would you bring your business to our area? You know, what would it take? You know, would it take to the fact you need 100 trained, skilled people, and you need, 1,000 square foot manufacturing facility, and you need a railroad train, whatever it is. What is it you need? And I just see those folks just go walking by. I know they're there, because I talk to them enough times, and it's just kind of like, it's that draw. And I know we have that same problem with the doctors and everything else, is, the draw here. Yeah, we got the ocean, which is great. We don't have enough good restaurants, right? And the mall is shrinking, that kind of stuff. So those are the challenges. But I'm just looking from your point of view. Where are you seeing that tipping point finally, or is it
I really think we are. And the three things you hit on are, oh my goodness, they're thorns in my side.
Yes, absolutely.
And
they're on our side too, to be honest.
Right. And don't get me wrong, I think Jordan Cove is going to be great for this area. I absolutely think it will be. And I look at things from a purely economic standpoint. It will bring jobs in, and but it has, for the last 14 years, it's tied these people up in knots.
Right.
And there is warehouse space sitting empty that I have sent people to and said, this warehouse is empty, and they contact, or our office will contact them, the owners, and the owners will say, Jordan Cove was asking about that like 5 years ago.
And so I'm not going to touch it.
Yeah. I think I can get a higher price if I wait for them to come in.
Right.
Yeah. I have office space that is sitting vacant because Jordan Cove said they were going to look at this when they get ready to move their offices here.
It tied the whole area into that.
And it just tied the whole. It's just tied everything up.
Right.
So, and we have some. I don't talk politics very much, but we have some politicians that are you know, that's their running platform is Jordan Cove.
Right.
What happens when it either fails or it goes through? They don't have anything else to go on, and we have a lot of businesses that are that way, that they're waiting for that to happen, either good or bad,
Right.
and they're losing out on all that opportunity in between.
Right.
So, yeah.
With the incubator and all of that going here, wouldn't that be a great draw for the metro areas on the West Coast, like San Francisco, Portland, Seattle, to draw some of the creators out of those crowded areas and expensive areas down here?
By the way,
And have them create here and probably stay here. It's like, I grew up in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. I watched it. They started there, they stayed there,
mhm.
and they're still there.
The idea is we want to keep our young kids here. Let's get some. I just did a what they call a population inflow outflow workforce analysis for the city of Brookings. Okay, and what it shows is how many people travel to the city every day. And this is Brookings, so it's nowhere near this size. How many people travel into the city to work every day, and how many travel out? Now, either they physically travel or they telecommute out, right? Guess what? There is 1,500 people in the city of Brookings that travel out every single day to go to work. Now, some of them go down to the prison in Crescent City, okay? Some of them work at the hospital in Crescent City. But guess what? Because the map will also show you, and I'm sorry I don't have that, and I might be able to get it for you, but it shows you where they're getting paid from, which shows you where they're commuting to.
Yeah.
Some of them are New York, some of them are Salt Lake City, some of them are Seattle, some of them are. So we have those people that are already working, and some of them, they're working from the coffee shop, they're working from a home office. Well, guess what? What if we had a section they could come and be here and interact with people? That's our ideal client, right?
Well, the ideal climate for an entrepreneur is somebody to talk to.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of these things are being asked or brought up. I'm a part of the Tuesday morning
Coffee group.
plus one of the masterminds. And what you were asking about as far as this is solving the issue, and nothing to my recollection like the Reef Project has been attempted, because it's really hitting a lot of the core issues. And what you said with the 50s, that goes back to that whole huge manufacturing
Right.
dream company that's gonna come and be Jesus and save us all, right?
Right. Yeah.
Sorry, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, well, that's when it's very hard to tell people that.
Yeah, 'cause
Because coming
They
from,
think the coal's gonna come back too.
yeah,
Talk
well, the
to
thing
someone
was
like
with,
that,
you know,
yeah.
Bunker Hill,
you know,
Yeah.
the sawmills are gonna come back. And I said, well, I hate to tell you, it's gonna cost $1 billion to build one here. Okay, from my point of view, I still see Jordan Cove, okay, fine, and everything like that, but I know they're only gonna employ 40 people.
Yeah.
Okay, because I have friends who work for Shell Oil down in Martinez. They had 1,500 employees working for them back in the 1970s. They kept drawing it back. They now have 125 employees running the entire Martinez refinery
It's all
system.
computer controlled now.
It's all computer controlled. So what they're gonna be working on is even gonna be more state, and it's one product.
Right.
So I don't see them maybe doing a shift. So out of that 40, yeah, it'll get 5, 6, maybe other people employed, so that gives us around 200 that are gonna be somewhat linked to that, but that's it. You know, and beyond that, you know, that's where I see
And
the
if they
situation.
leave there,
That's
where
the
else are they
point.
gonna go in the
That's the
area?
point of the REAP project, is that
Right.
it's getting away from some big corporation to employ people,
Right.
to helping people to create their own solution to the
Right,
problem,
exactly.
to be independent.
So
And we've never had that mentality here in this area.
Yeah, right, and that's what I think is great. I think it's finally,
Oh, yeah, it's about
I'm
time,
glad to
yeah.
hear this, because like I said, I've been here for 12 years. The first thing I got introduced to was the fact, I didn't come here on a covered wagon, so I'm not,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not an Oregonian,
Yeah.
okay? However, you know, the company that we set up down at Hardin, okay, we brought them up at the 21st century. Myself and a few other people, there was about 10 of us that came into that company and literally put the stamp of 21st century on that company, because they were isolated.
Right.
You know, we brought in, and it happened to be half of those people were people I've worked with in the past in the San Francisco Bay Area that pushed them over the top. You know, now unfortunately, they went from 100 employees down to 20.
Right.
And that was because of situations they were in, or whatever it was.
Right.
But the thing is, I could still see the fact that we can still bring in those kind of jobs into the area here.
Yes, we can.
You know, and it's quite possible to do that. I think it's wonderful what Marshfield's doing now, having Glenn in there, having now he's got, you know, CNC machines, he just picked up a laser system that we just working on. And I can see the kids now starting to get that 21st century technology.
That education
That education that they need, that overstep, because now, when I look at that boat place up in Reedsport, that needs welders, it needs CNC guys, and things like that. I can see 20 kids from Marshfield working for that company, because they just built, just drive by there, they just built this big shed that can put those boats in there, and work on them during the wintertime.
Yeah.
You know, so I see that going, you know, in that way, and I hope that it does, you know, for myself, you know, that, you know, we're trying to start a little thing here ourselves. You know,
You're right, and
so,
probably the first 6 months that I had this job running the Southwest Development Council, I had people ask me what I was going to personally do to bring in a 600-person manufacturer. Because that will save us all. It'll be the unicorn, right?
Right, yeah.
And the shiny knight, right? You know,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
No, I
And
understand.
I had to say absolutely nothing. I am not going to bring in a manufacturer that needs to employ 600 people. Why? Because we don't have anywhere for them to live. We're already short on housing.
right. Yeah.
We don't have the workforce here, and, you know, we can't support that. We don't have the infrastructure.
Right.
We used to, but it's not there anymore. So instead of building a 600-person manufacturer, guess what we're going to do? I'm going to work with each
In the
company.
60s.
I'm going to work with company to the point that they need to grow one more person. And if I can work with 600 of those companies, which, by the way, we have a lot of them here, we just grew that 600-person company organically,
Right.
one person at a time, and if one of those tanks, guess what? We can absorb them back into the.
It's a 106-person company instead of one 600.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And how many of those companies could be yours?
Yeah, now one of the interesting questions.
Also, the beauty now is that, you know, maybe in this, you know, when you said like 20, 30 years ago, you didn't have all these, you know, it was much harder to ship things, but now you got the internet, you can send things all around the world, and people can find where you're at if you're properly indexed. So now you can set up these kinds of small businesses, like you mentioned, 3-4 people anywhere, and this can be anywhere, so.
This
Well,
can
one
be
of the-
anywhere.
One of the interesting things like that, again, I talk to these guys on the plane all the time. They ask me, they says, well, what's the shipping like? And I said, it's no different than anywhere else. I can get something overnight if I need to. And they're going like, what? And I said, yeah, we got an airport right here that flies to the FedEx and UPS and all this other stuff. And they thought for sure that we wouldn't have those kind of things, but it seems that amenities of being able to get the product out the door.
Right.
You know, getting it shipped. And it just seems that mental image got stuck somewhere.
Right.
And I think one of the things, you know, to bring up with other people as they're coming in here is to saying our shipping is just as comparable as it getting out of Portland or anywhere else. Because, you know, I hand something to somebody and it's gonna get shipped overnight, it's gonna go to Tennessee and it's gonna go to Boston, it'll be there the next morning. It doesn't cost any more or anything like that, but there's that middle image where rural America on the farthest west part of the United States you can get. And it takes an extra day or two for our product to get to market. And we're going like, no,
No, it doesn't.
no, it doesn't. I said, UPS drives their trucks over here every day. And they were amazed. You know, again, it's that rural America mentality. We're out in the sticks and next to the Pacific Ocean. and all
Yeah,
that
that's one of
stuff.
the things we have to fight.
You know,
I think
and we
it's
have to fight that.
getting there.
But I think getting that information up there, you know, up at that level.
Yeah.
Actually, I think our shipping here is better than Portland. Because
Really?
in Portland,
Yeah.
they have about 2 weeks out of every year, usually in January and February, when no one can go anywhere. Because the weather is so
Yeah,
bad. They
that's
get
right.
black ice and
Oh, yeah,
snow.
I've been through that.
And they
multiple
get it
times.
almost every year.
Right.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, one year we were snowed in for 2.5 weeks with
Yep.
no power
Oh, yeah.
and
That
no
was not
water.
Right.
And I gotta tell you, at that point, we said, no way. Do you ever get the black ice here? No.
Well, I think the
Well-
comment was, this was the comment, was that we're a 2-hour drive from Interstate 5.
Yeah.
And that sends a metal block saying, my God, if you're a 2-hour drive from a major interstate, obviously you can't get my product there
Yeah.
in time. And I'm going like, no, UPS or FedEx, everybody that runs a truck from Portland down to Los Angeles every single day, okay, on Interstate 5, they feed it into I was explaining this to them. I said, they feed it into Roseburg, and then boom, it goes down I-5. I said, yeah, we're 2 hours, but they get it on the truck, at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, they shuffle it around. By 9 o'clock, it's in Roseburg, because I know, I said, I look on my UPS thing, it tells me when it gets in there, when it gets on there, and it's going like, really? I said, yeah, it's there by 9 o'clock at night.
Or they
It's
put
on
it to the
I-5.
airport and fly it there.
Yeah, it's there, it's gone. I'm going like, wow, I didn't know that. And I said, we got 3 main highways that do get out of here, and if we have to, and sometimes they'll fly it in if they have to. There's a freight, FedEx flies it out of here. And there was, now they saw the airport and they saw what's going on. But I mean, yeah, it's just that mentality, that when I talk to these guys and gals, that it's, we're out in the middle, but they are excited. I was really enhanced with the excitement, but I didn't have the answer for them. And I would love to say, hey, if I, like I said, if I put something up at the airport, if you want to move your company here, X, because we get those 60 people that come in every day, you want to move your corporate and talk to me, or something like that,
So, maybe I'm getting a little ahead of the ball, but we're actually talking with the airport, and we're negotiating a price that we can actually have our logo on one of the baggage carousels.
There you go.
With an explanation of how we can help your business relocate
There you
here.
go.
That would be.
And so we're actually, that has been a topic of conversation in our staff meetings.
Oh, that's good, because every day I see 60, 70 people.
Yeah, there's those limos driving.
Driving by, and I couldn't figure, this was one thing that was found interesting, that they put blackened windows in those limousines.
Yeah.
On purpose, okay? When I asked them, I said, what happens when you get in those limos? And they said, oh, they put on Caddyshack, so that we can watch the video on the way down. I said, you guys ever look out the windows? Oh, no, we're too busy watching it. Now, granted, they're there to play golf. I mean, I admit that, 80%. But there are others who kind of go out there looking for things. But I didn't realize that they were black out the window because they didn't want to see these guys and gals drive through Coos Bay, okay, and seeing the sign saying,
Like
this
the
is for
motel
rent, this
that's
is for rent, this is
rolling
for rent.
stuff.
Now, the casino, that's a whole different thing. I
Yeah.
mean, having that boat that showed up
Oh, yeah.
a couple weeks ago with the 1,400, people that wanted to play golf here, I thought that was wonderful, okay, fine, that's everything. But I didn't ever realize that the fact that they darkened the windows and put on that videotape, I'm like, oh,
Anyway,
man.
I think I'm out of
Anyway,
time.
you're out of time.
One quick question. Have you worked anything out with Bandon Dunes, since so many
Yeah.
golfers with a certain amount of money go through there?
Bandon Dunes is one of our biggest sponsors.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Good to know.
How are you doing with the agencies? Because I saw your predecessor present to every one of the agencies around. I filmed